Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into something really wild. We are going to attempt to demystify one of the absolute oldest mysteries of our existence. What is the true scientific nature of life? I mean, for centuries, humanity has struggled to define what makes something alive. Well, we're going to explore exactly that through the lens of the Universal Theory of Space, or UTS. Let's jump right in. Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We've got four main pillars to hit: unified nature, the structural leap, wave process biology, and finally the quantum life force. So let's start with a super basic but honestly profound question. What actually separates a stone from a human? Your intuition immediately screams that there's a huge, obvious difference between a living, breathing person and, well, a rock on the ground. But what is that difference exactly at a hardcore, foundational, physical level? Well, historically, when early thinkers couldn't figure that out using just chemistry or basic mechanics, they leaned heavily on a concept called vitalism. Basically, vitalism is this idea that living things are fundamentally different from non-living entities because they contain some sort of mystical fluid. Like a magical life force that breathes animation into regular matter. But here's where UTS steps in with a pretty radical shift. It completely tosses out that idea of a mystical, unmeasurable fluid. No magic here. But, and this is key, it does fully agree that life cannot be reduced to just a primitive set of chemical reactions. Instead, the framework proposes that life is all about ultra-complex geometry, multidimensional resonance, and some really high-order electromagnetic interactions. All right, part one, unified nature. The matrix of energy, information, evolutionism essentially shows us that all matter, whether we're talking about a mineral, a plant, your dog, or you, actually deploys from the exact same unified base. Yeah, at the core of a simple rock and a complex biological cell, you find the exact same laws of the universe's fractal structure. Every single thing is essentially a highly coherent electromagnetic field interacting in space. Energy provides the fuel, sure, but the ultimate goal of all this evolution, it's highly structured information. Moving on to part two, the structural leap. So you might be wondering, if a stone and a human share the exact same electromagnetic base, how in the world does life just happen without relying on magic? Well, the game changer here is a colossal complexification of structural organization. Life basically pops up when these electromagnetic fields interact and start engaging in incredibly complex exchange reactions of a resonant nature. At a certain threshold, a structural composition of non-living stuff makes this massive qualitative leap. It officially changes its status to living, simply because the system has acquired the internal capacity for self-development and evolution. Pretty wild, right? Which brings us to part three, wave process biology. According to UTS, a biological organism, like you or me, is defined by this highly technical term, a spiral helical hypercluster biosystem. Okay, I know, that is a total mouthful, but it's absolutely crucial because it represents strict scientific rigor. It strips away the poetry and just looks at the raw, multidimensional mechanics of what we actually are. Let's break that dense term down a bit. UTS says the physical body is absolutely not just a piece of meat. Instead, it's an ultra-complex spatial structure built from a massive multitude of physical fields that are constantly sharing information. We are open, dynamic energy systems. Just think about it. Our existence is maintained every single second by swapping energy and matter with our geophysical environment. We eat, we breathe, we move. It's a constant, ongoing exchange. All right, part four, the quantum life force. According to this framework, a human is actually a two-level structure. First, you've got the biological periphery. That's your physical body, which is essentially just a temporary, low-frequency wave state. But then you have the quantum torus. This is a super dense informational module, a completely stable quantum object that acts as the imperishable base of your entire personality. So what those old vitalists intuitively sensed as a non-physical life force, UTS gives it a concrete physical and quantum justification right here. When biological death happens, it's only the temporary periphery that disintegrates. That quantum core remains completely stable. Okay, but where does this quantum core actually live? Well, UTS says it connects to the planetary genome. You can kind of think of this as a massive, multidimensional remote server, or like cloud storage for the entire human species. The core information of your base personality is mirrored and stored within this senior system. That ensures your core data is totally preserved, even if the local biological hardware, meaning your physical body down here on Earth, gets damaged or completely destroyed. This whole cycle perfectly outlines what UTS refers to as the physics of immortality. It's basically a continuous, ongoing informational process happening across multi-dimensional space. During the unwrapping phase, which is what we call life, the quantum matrix projects a highly coherent electromagnetic blueprint. This blueprint is literally what binds chaotic chemical elements together to form a living biological body. Then comes the wrapping phase, or death, where the biological carrier breaks down and all that accumulated personality data is safely archived right back into the quantum matrix. So just to summarize this life cycle super clearly for us, life inside a biological body is maintained only as long as that controlling electromagnetic resonance from the quantum blueprint stays active. The second that life-sustaining resonance fades away, the temporary biological periphery just loses its organizing principle, and it literally disintegrates back into chaotic elements. And finally, part 5, synthesis. Let's look at the evolution of the biosystem. Bringing all of these pillars together, we can really start to see the ultimate evolutionary trajectory here. UTS suggests that the biological form is really just a transitional bridge. It's almost like a machine designed specifically to grow the crystal of consciousness. And once biological evolution maxes out its limit of complexity, the system is primed for a massive phase transition. By mastering this physics, consciousness can theoretically transmute that electromagnetic carrier into a highly coherent quantum state. This is what's referred to as the light body or the rainbow body, a hypercomplex system existing in a state of supermatter that doesn't even need physical sustenance anymore. It is just a staggering paradigm shift, isn't it? We aren't governed by some mystical fluids. We are hypercomplex spatial generators and resonators that are capable of profound evolution. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If our biological body is truly an evolving wave state, governed by precise quantum geometry, what limits are we capable of transcending next? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.